talking to the sheriff's department just now to further things along, and we're doing well.
Okay, that's Richard Heaney. Do we have the video? Can we put that up? Do we have Richard Heaney leaving? There's some video of him getting in the car as we talk about this. And as you heard, we're going to get that queued up for you. This is all coming in just within the last couple of minutes. This is indeed breaking news happening in Colorado. As you heard what the sheriff says, let's play the video, and I'll just talk about this story a little bit. We're expected to learn more within the next few hours, the sheriff said. He's saying, read between the lines. I don't have to tell you. I'll just stop it there. This is Richard Heaney and his wife leaving the sheriff's department tonight. The country really was transfixed on this Thursday by the sight of that silvery balloon floating through the sky in Colorado, believed to have that little boy there. Little boy, those are the parents that are leaving the sheriff's department tonight. He turned out to be safe at home. The 6-year-old's name is Falcon. He later told CNN that it was for a show. Everyone was confused by that when they saw the body language. We're going to show you that and talk about that a little bit with a body language expert. The boy's father, Richard Heaney, has adamantly denied it was a publicity stunt. So right now, I think it's apropos to bring in our security analyst, Mr. Mike Brooks. Mike, you're in the business. He was saying a lot, read between the lines. I think we kind of get what the sheriff is talking about, although he did not go into what he expects those charges to be. He said possibly a Class 3 misdemeanor, and he goes, given the severity of this, these charges should be even higher, he believes.
Don, I've been following this from the very beginning. When CNN called me, when this was happening, because of my rescue experience and everything else. And, then we watched this unfold. And then we heard the statement by little Falcon on Larry King Live when Wolf asked him the question. And then the father said, was very defensive. And then, all along, Larimer County Sheriff has said, well, you know what? I think everything's okay. I think it was legitimate. And now he said, and then the other day after the statement by Falcon on Larry King Live, he said, well, we're going to go back and interview them. And now...
Mike, I want to say this, though. But according to the sheriff didn't say that what the charges were, who the charges were going to be against. He said just criminal charges. He anticipates charges in the case. But he said, and I thought it was very interesting, he said, you can read what I'm saying. And what did you take away from that? Again, he's not saying that this is a hoax. He's not saying that the dad did anything wrong. But when he says read between the lines, what does he mean by that?
What I hear from that, Don, as a former investigator myself, and he goes like, okay, we're going to go, the other day, just Friday, he said, we're going to go back and re-interview them. And now what I'm hearing, he's talking about Class 3 misdemeanors and then possibly federal charges.
Yeah.
Exactly. What he's saying now is, I've re-interviewed them. And Don, they're going to do search warrants. What I'm hearing from there, we're going to do search warrants of their computer, of their cell phone. I think the sheriff has kind of stepped back a couple steps and said, wait a minute, we need to take a closer look at this. And bottom line, I hear from this, somebody's going to jail. That's what I hear.
Really? Even with a Class 3 misdemeanor? You think he's going to try to get those charges upped? And because of the attention paid to this, the amount of resources, not only with news organizations, probably the news organizations, we have to eat it. But what about the resources that were put into it for search and rescue people in that area? Is someone going to be held accountable for that if this indeed turns out to be the case that this was not real and that this was manufactured?
There's a very good possibility that. Just the other day, news agencies were asking, okay, Sheriff, how many resources were put into this? He just talked about Larimer County, Don, and he says at least 80 people were involved in this. And we're not just talking Larimer County. We're talking a number of different counties all the way down to Adams, where that went down in the field just east of Denver International Airport. So, I kind of see that. I hear the sheriff kind of backtracking now.
Okay.
And I think somebody's going to jail.
Okay,
I really do.
Mike, here's a question.
Sure.
You're in law enforcement, and when you see cases like this, it's also there are children involved.
Yep.
And as I said, I don't want to be too speculative here, but
Sure.
there are children involved, and there were adults. And if how far up the chain could this go? Federally, as far as someone being held accountable for the children and those sorts of things. Like, how far can this go? Have you seen anything like this, and is there a precedent as to what someone in this case could possibly be charged with?
I've never seen anything like this before. But, you know, they're going to go back, and they're going to take a look at everything, Don. You got to look at the totality of this whole thing. From the very time that it happened, and then you hear the statement of Little Falcon on Larry King Live, you know, and Wolf tried to follow that up with Dad, and Dad was very defensive.
He got very defensive, but also I think you bring up a very interesting thing, too, that we need to talk about. They're going to go over computer records and what have you, because there are people who have been talking on social media about this, about what's going on, what kind of emails that, you know, the dad possibly sent or what have you. So that's all part of the story here. And, Mike, I want to make it clear again, the sheriff didn't say what, you know, who was going to be charged and what the charges were. He said probably class 3 misdemeanor, but he just said charges probable in the case in the near future. So again, we don't know if it involves Richard Heaney or the wife or whomever. It could be some outside involvement. We have no idea.
Well, you know, Don, I find it interesting that I hear a different tone in the sheriff as it was compared the other day to now.
All right.
Very different tone.
Security analyst Mike Brooks. Mike, great information. Thank you so much.